We go then. Right. Being joined today, I am coining the coaches. This is the coaches corner. We are going to keep that going. So today with Patrick Umphrey, who, as well, one of the Facebook groups that I know from the longest time I've ever been using social media, the Eat, Train, Progress group, and also as a coach as well. And
Yep.
in terms of the background that you do, would I be right in saying it's like slightly powerlifting based, or
Yeah, I coach about right now it's probably 60 to 70% power lifters for my one-on-one clients. I also have a group coaching platform. And so I'm not including that when I give you that figure. On average, it's about half power lifters and half what I would just call general population. So similar to what I would assume most online trainers work with. So people who want to either lose weight or gain muscle or get a little stronger, that sort of thing. So about half and half.
oh, nice, man. And in terms of then your background, just so people who potentially maybe aren't familiar with what you do,
Sure.
tell us a little bit about that, man.
Well, I have been coaching for about, I'd have to look. It's probably about 8 or 9 years now. Um, and I started out just as a fitness enthusiast, which I'm sure probably most personal trainers probably start that way. And I grew an interest in this, and I started posting a lot on the MyFitnessPal forums. They have a separate forum group there. And I started to develop a bit of a following on that site. And I was largely just reposting like other people's good information. So there's other fit pros who post great content, and I would just kind of share their stuff and say, hey, look at what this guy says on this topic. I started to grow a bit of a following. And so I created my own forum subgroup called Eat, Train, Progress in MyFitnessPal. So that's where this started. And we had, I say we, I have a good friend who I now coach, and her and I started the group together because we shared a lot of the same philosophies with fitness. And we had started it was essentially a thread that said, if you're stuck with weight loss or with, strength training, answer these questions and we'll try to help you. And people would post, they'd fill out this little survey. And then my friend and I would get on Skype and we would talk about it and we would come up with an action plan. And so it was kind of a start to coaching. But it was not necessarily face to face with the client. It was myself and my friend looking at this set of information that the person would leave, and we would then come up with a solution. And from there, I went, if I could speak directly to the client, this would be even better. So I came up with a pilot program, and I didn't charge anything for it. But I said, if you'd like to work with me, it will be for free. It will be for 12 weeks, and fill out this application if you would like to try this. And in return, you'll give me a testimonial if you have good results, and you'll give me feedback so I can get better at this. And I ran that program for about a year, and then I started charging for it. It was never intended to be a career. It was intended to just be a fun little thing that I decided, maybe I could charge a little bit for this. And I didn't even decide like I'm going to do this so that I could make money. What happened was someone had reached out to me on Facebook and said, and this was before I had the group on Facebook, it was all on MyFitnessPal. They said, hey, I know you're not doing your free program right now, but can I just hire you to coach me? And I said, okay, $100. And so my first, I think for about a year or two, I charged $100, and I limited myself to 10 clients because I said, I don't want to take any more than that because this is not a career. I want to make sure I can manage this appropriately. So like, I know I'm rambling, but like, that's how it all started, was this free pilot program. And when I had people apply to this, I got like 180 applicants, which was awesome because it gave me different demographics to choose from. So I could pick and choose, like, okay, here's a male in their 20s who wants to gain muscle. Well, that, like, every trainer's licking their chops at something like that, because like that's the best demographic, right? Or like an 18-year-old that wants to get jacked, like, let's go, right? And then I could also work with like someone who struggles with obesity, who wants to lose weight. And so, like, point being, it allowed me the freedom to pick and choose based on their application. And I had a lot of applicants, so I was very fortunate, and it gave me some really good experience.
That's crazy. I didn't know the background to it being from MyFitnessPal forum. So, is that something you still do? Is it still there? Or
It still exists. It is not active. I haven't logged in there in probably years. And so, but yeah, it still does exist. It just no one goes in there anymore. So
Crazy.
it
Oh,
got up to like 10,000 people at the time that I was still doing it. So it was pretty cool.
yeah, absolutely. I really like the way that you then took that and did the free program and then used that to then build your testimonials and proof of what you do. It's great.
And honestly, it's I refer to it as permission to be bad at it in a way, because like you don't have you obviously want to do your best, but when you are charging someone, especially if it's a significant amount of money, you have a very strong obligation to deliver. When you're doing something for free and you're giving it to someone, I do think that it just kind of removes some of that obligation. So when I say permission to be bad, it's kind of me saying, hey, this is new. I want to try it out. I need some guinea pigs. And so here you go. And I had enough of a reputation on that site that people applied. And so it worked out great.
Nice, man. Like it. And then since going through that, and then how has it grown since then? How have you seen it develop?
So from there, I don't recall exactly when, but at some point I decided I'm limiting myself by just being on MyFitnessPal. I need to migrate to a different social media platform. And at the time I chose Facebook, and that is now where the Eat, Train, Progress group lives. It started as a page. There's an Eat, Train, Progress page on Facebook. It's no longer active. I decided to move to a group shortly after because of the interaction that can take place on the group. I just find that that's a more conducive format to interactions. And so now I'm at about 20,000 people in the group. It is, I would call it like stagnant, but not stagnant in terms of participation in the group. It is a very active group. It's stagnant in that I don't have like hundreds of people still joining. And I'm okay with that because there is absolutely enough. And there's turnover, like there's still people joining and people leaving, but it's active enough that it completely funnels my business now. And so basically everything that shows up on my plate in terms of clients, most of it comes from Facebook. And then there's also a good portion that come from referrals. And so like I'll have people that'll reach out because they know someone that I've coached or am coaching. So
Oh, that's interesting to know. Yeah. So with the group itself, that's what's bringing you the majority of the clients.
absolutely. Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. So would you say that? So that because I'm in that group, and I'm probably one of the lurker people in there, but I always see the posts, and I find that, I don't know if you agree or maybe you have got thoughts on this, but is there a certain type of person who really finds themselves ending up in that group?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, of course. Yeah. And I want to stress, I'm going to tell you my philosophy and why I do this, but I am not saying that this is what everyone else should do because I'm not a business coach or anything of that nature. I believe that if you put your personal values forth and you allow people to know what your value system is, what your beliefs are, yeah, it serves as a filtering system in a way. It creates selection bias. I'm making the argument that that's a good thing in a situation where you are selling a face-to-face service where most people will benefit by identifying with you. There's exceptions to this, but that's my philosophy. So for example, I will put pro LGBTQ things in my Facebook group. Like we'll have rainbow banners and things like that. And it's because I value inclusivity. And that is a population that I think often gets mistreated. And that makes me mad. And so I do what I can to make those people feel safe and welcome in my space. That will, doing things like that, and I'm only using that as one example, but putting yourself out there like that, I believe will attract people who have similar values, and it could repel people who have opposing values. I am okay with that. Other people might not be okay with that, and that's fine, but I'm okay with it because I think that I'm going to produce better results if I'm coaching someone in a face-to-face scenario where they can identify with me, where they can feel safe with me, where they can, share some of those core values.
Yeah.
So that's the rationale behind it. That's why you'll also see super immature jokes. Like there's a lot of potato references in that group. I have a coaching group called FART, Focused Adipose Reduction Team. And yes, I came up with the word fart before I decided what it stood for. I just thought, let's just name it this. And because at the time, there were a lot of fart jokes in the group. And so I just said, well, let's do it. And it worked. And so I accept that people could look at that and go, what the hell is this guy doing? But that's just how I roll. And I do think that, again, like the people who reach out to hire me, especially the ones that come from that group, they already know what they're getting.
Yeah.
There's no mystery behind it because it's all out there.
Yeah.
And so, but that's, yeah. So to answer your question, absolutely. There are certain types of people that will gravitate towards my group, and there are people who will hate it and they will stay far away from it. And I'm cool with that.
Yeah. It's really, so what I 100% agree with all of that stuff around the values and putting them out there on show for people, because ultimately working in a business where you are dealing with other humans, that's how we're going to connect and align with them. So if you've got that out there already, and you've cultivated this huge group of people who are share the values and alignment, I think it's a brilliant thing. So yeah, of course. And then when those people do work with you, it's like a great relationship, right? Because you already get each other. Yeah.
I think so. I don't have anything to compare it to, because I don't tend to I don't, compare data with a lot of other coaches or anything like that. Not that I'm opposed to it. I just don't really do it. And so I don't know what's considered standard for like how long you work with people, but I do have a lot of clients that have been very long-term. So I have people who I started working with when I gave away the program like 8 to 9 years ago, and I'm still coaching them. And so I do believe I have pretty good client retention. And so, and then I also have a lot of people who will stop for a while and then come back.
Yeah, that's a great sign as well, isn't it? Really good to say.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think I should, I will get onto Apotheo, because I always feel like I can get lost in chatting about what you do and the experiences and everything.
Sure.
And I always feel like Adam's watching back going, can you talk about how you use Apotheo now? But so maybe a little bit before, what were you doing before you started using Apotheo? How did you do things?
It's been a while now, but I was using a lot of Google Sheets. Yeah. And there was a period of time where MyFitnessPal had someone had designed a tool that would cleanly export and format food diary data into a very usable format. And so I would use that as the primary means of monitoring calorie and macronutrient intake, and the client would be responsible for tracking body weight and a few different measurements and sending photographs, and it would all get stored on Google Drive. And so I was not using a program prior to that. And Apotheo has made it just so much more convenient. Like it has made this way, way, way better. Nice.
How have you got any examples of how it's helped you to do that?
Sure, absolutely. I think that first of all, I'm diagnosed with ADHD. I know that that's become a bit of a meme. People will just say it, but like I have it, and I have a very severe case of it. And so one of my biggest issues as a coach is just misplacing things and just being generally disorganized and absent-minded. Just having everything in one spot where that all their body weight info goes in there. It gets averaged out. It shows me a graph. It puts all of their nutrient data, once they link it up with whatever the tracking app they're using, I have visibility to it. It has a messaging system. Billing gets handled through it. Like it does essentially the vast majority of things, but it does them all in one spot. And so for someone like me who has these deficits, it's massively useful. So I think that's the biggest thing, is that in that regard, centralizing everything so that it's all in one spot is incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I come from a background of using Google Sheets and different like we're using PDFs as well and emailing stuff to people, and it's just you lose so much in my inbox. It's gone. So yeah, having something like that is a huge benefit. And then with regards to how you use it, do you do anything? You customize it in any way?
Not to the extent that I should. I'm inherently don't know if I'd like to. So if my clients called themselves lazy, I would want to use better language, but for some reason, I'm perfectly fine calling myself lazy. And so I don't tend to take the time to do any in-depth customizations beyond creating pricing profiles and things like that for different packages. But and then I will adjust like frequency of, when they need to send photos and measurements and things like that. I've used the habit builder to create specific sets of habits that I want people to focus on. So I guess, I'm doing a little bit of customization, but I'm not aware of. There's probably all sorts of things I could be doing that I'm not, but like that doesn't make it less useful. It's still fantastic for me. So, but the habit thing is really cool. Like I like that you can specify specific things that you want the client to focus on. It's pretty convenient to go in there and make that.
Yeah, but it's also good to hear that, so that if someone potentially is using it, and it's just for what it can do is just capturing the data and making it really simple to interpret and feedback on.
Absolutely.
That's all that's required, right? If the client's getting what they need from it, that's perfect.
Absolutely. No, it's great.
In terms of your clients, do you get any feedback from them? Do they give you any thoughts on how it is, or?
No, I tend to just get positive feedback from it. So, and honestly, I think that mainly the issues, if any of them do arise, it's me not communicating effectively on like, oh, here's how you're supposed to use this. And so that's my issue. That is not a software issue. That is a coach issue.
Nice.
So
I'm interested to find out, do you run your FART program through it? Is that how it's done?
Is this hard for you to call it that with a straight face? I'm just curious. Like, have you ever had to say that to a person before on a podcast? Have you ever had to say, excuse me, let me ask you about your fart?
I was trying to think of what the word stood for, or the letter stood for, and I couldn't, so I was going to say it. Yeah.
Okay, but now I'm going to make you say it again because I already forgot the question.
So your sought after FART program. Mm-hmm. Do you run that through Apotheo?
Yes, I do. Yep.
Cool.
That is all run through Apotheo. I did run one group program that I chose not to use Apotheo, but it's because I did a special program for teachers when the pandemic started, because I just felt like especially elementary school teachers were just put through the ringer. And so I ran a completely free program where I invited any teachers in ETP that wanted to join. I would coach them for free on an 8-week pilot program. And I did everything that we do in the FART group, but we just didn't use the coaching software, and the check-ins were a little bit reduced in terms of the functionality of them, but there was still the activities done in the group, and it still provided people with some good use in that particular thing. And so from a financial standpoint, I chose not to use Apotheo for that particular thing, so I didn't have to like pay out of pocket. But other than that, though, like all of my paid clients go through Apotheo because it's so great.
And then I think you mentioned right at the beginning, in terms of like client numbers you work with, did you say 60, 70 clients? Is that right? Or?
No, I have about 30 to 35 one-on-one clients currently. And the group coaching ranges anywhere between about 17 and 35, depending on whether I'm running one or two groups adjacently. And that all depends on how aggressively I market this in the group beforehand. And most of the time, like 1 week before launch, I like, oh, hey, by the way, I'm running this group. Do you want to join? And then I get a smaller turnout, and times where I push the gas pedal and give people like a month's notice and I really advertise it effectively, I'll end up getting 2 groups. And so with a larger group turnout, it gets up to close to the 65-ish. 65 to 70, but that would be like on the high end. And so I'd say on average, I'm probably at, if you add up group plus one-on-one, like 50, 55, something like that.
Yeah. And is that a level where you're at? Is that a capacity you like to be at, or where do you?
For one-on-one, I like to be in the 25 to 40, I think is ideal for me. Group coaching, I have an assistant coach, and so which makes me feel great because it's a huge win-win in that I am absolutely able to help someone both financially and just for their trajectory, because they're getting a lot of work and a lot of experience, and it helps me a ton because my assistant coach is awesome. And so that is absolutely a win-win. So I have the flexibility to push the gas pedal more on the group coaching if I wanted to. I just lazy and I don't do the things I should be doing with marketing. So that's pretty much it.
Still, I mean, it shows what you have done to build that, to then be able to still generate the interest there with it. So that's a solid sign. And is there anything you've got planned? Have you got plans for the future, how you want to develop this, or are you happy with it?
I would say that I have half-assed plans. Like, that's the best that I could put it. I have ideas, but I'm not very good at following through with my ideas. And so I think that at most, if I had any like vision of what this would look like, if I got to a point where I expanded the group coaching more and I was able to then have a few assistant coaches and fill more plates, I think it would make me feel good. But the motivation for that would be helping others and reaching more people. This is going to maybe sound cliche, but I'm not terribly money motivated. Like I have a fairly simple life and I'm able to meet needs. Like my kids have clothes and we get to do fun things. And, my wife is employed and does well. And so like, I'm very fortunate, and, my needs are being met. My family's needs are being met. And obviously I'd be cool to earn more, but like, it's not a big factor for me. It doesn't motivate me to want to like blow this thing up. I care more about being happy and feeling like I'm doing a great job and things like that. But having said that, like, growing a little bit so that I could have a couple more coaches and fill their plates and maybe reach a few more people to know that I'm helping them, I think it'd be good.
Yeah.
But I don't have a strong enough, sorry to cut you off. I don't have a strong enough motivation to like, you could tell when you look at my marketing, it's very casual. It's just like every few weeks, I'm like, hey, I coach people, click here. Okay, have a good day. Let's talk about potatoes. So,
I think for a lot of coaches potentially listening, though, it's almost like that is a dream, though, in terms of just being able to have that impact would be something that I think a lot of coaches strive for. And it does come back to potentially what we were talking about before, where you have been able to showcase, who you are, get that across personally, to then connect with the same people. And if you were to take yourself back to the start, is there anything you'd find that you would have done differently, or?
I think that that's a great question, man. I think that if there were a way that when I started out, someone could have more thoroughly convinced me that I don't know a damn thing and that I need to learn a whole lot. It's interesting, like starting out, I felt like I got this, I can do this. I've got, I know what to do. I know how to coach people. I can help everyone. And now with 9 more years experience, a lot more education, I'm like, I don't know shit. Like, sorry, am I allowed to say that on your podcast? I'm sorry. I apologize. No. But like, it's just the opposite. Like, I just go, I might know a little bit of the basics and I have some experience, but like, God, there's a lot I don't know. There's so much that I don't know. And so it's just, that's probably not a ringing endorsement, but like, I speak openly about it. And I think that would be the big one, though. It would be like slapping myself in the face and saying, you don't know shit. So
I get that, though. I get it, because you do see it a lot. So people will maybe get a qualification and that they think that is, I'm sorted now. I've done it. I've done my thing. Yeah. But it's literally just the start point, isn't it? And then you will never stop. You will never stop understanding.
Man, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I think maybe also helping, understanding that there's a certain set of skills that are very beneficial with coaching that are not really academic in nature. So like, I think that, and now granted, there's probably some exceptions depending on who you're working with, what their goals are. But I think that learning what questions to ask and then learning how to shut up and listen once you've asked the question, building trust so that you're providing a space that people feel like they can be honest in, things of that nature, the soft skills about it. I wish that I understood. See, now I'm coming up with answers. Look at this. I wish that I understood that some of my deficits with being disorganized can sometimes damage relationships. And I never would have thought that that was the case, even though thinking about it now, it's pretty obvious. So for example, I have had issues with, because of completely lacking a system, I used to have issues with getting programs completed on time, and that has damaged some coaching relationships. And it's unfortunate because it's my fault. It's my issue because of not implementing proper systems and being disorganized. So the combination of those things. But when you're the client, if you walk away from that thinking my coach doesn't care about me, that's a completely different message. Like that's absolutely not what I'm about at all.
Yeah.
But there's been a few people that have felt that way, and it sucks. So that would be something where I'd say, hey, dude, you need to have some systems, because you're going to damage some relationships by you being incompetent in certain skill sets. And so that would be a big one.
Yeah, that's really that's like the honesty coming through, though, isn't it? In terms of like, messed up that time, but it's fine. But then you obviously understand, and having those systems now, like something like Apotheo, can help to hopefully solve a few of those things as well. So yeah,
it has solved a lot of them. Another one that's helped a bunch is Calendly.
Yeah.
Man, that you use that app, because that's what I use to schedule this with you. But like, I use that and it's amazing. And so like taking advantage of some of the technology and just implementing systems in the appropriate way has been huge.
Yeah.
And also understanding that, and you would think I'd know this, being that like I'm 45. How old are you?
39.
Do you ever have to check how old you are? Like, do you ever have to actually do the math where you're like, crap, I forgot how old I am?
Yeah, it was like this year was the first time. Yeah.
I'll get used to it because it gets worse, man. And so I think I'm 45. And you would think that by whenever I started this coaching thing, like 36, 37, whatever, you would think that I would have known at that point that it's not only about having a system, but it's about finding a system that works for my unique needs and how I'm wired up and my brain. And man, some of my systems are dumb. Let me give you an example, because this could actually help someone, unlike all the other crap I've been saying. Here's the thing. I had a former client who she actually came over to my house, went into my Google Drive and organized everything, because that's back when I used Google Drive before Apotheo. So she created folders for each client, put all their programs in the right folder, mapped out this system. Okay, every time you get a client, you're going to take this blank spreadsheet and send it to them, and you're going to put their program here. She did everything for me. It was the most beautiful, logical, organized system. And she took a complete mess and made it into something absolutely streamlined. And it sucked. And it sucked for me. It's not that it sucked. It probably would have been great for 80% of the population. It was the worst thing ever for me, and I couldn't do it. And I failed repeatedly. She even did it twice. She came over and redid it, and it just sucked. It was horrible. And here's what I do now. And this is ridiculous. My method now for programming, I have one spreadsheet, and it's got everyone's name. And then it's got dates going across the top. And every weekend, I just look at the person's name and I pull up their program and I update it. And then I put a little letter Y for yes in the appropriate column, and I go down the list. And that's it. And it's the dumbest thing ever. So I went from this amazing system to like, hey, I'll keep a single spreadsheet with everyone's name on it and dates going across the top. And the other thing I implemented is that I require clients to say to me, when they're done with their week of training, because I tend to map out 1 week at a time.
Yeah.
And not because I am trying to like make them keep paying me so that I can give them the information, because I know that there are some like trainers who might do that. My reasoning for it is that I'm monitoring like fatigue levels. So there's a subjective questionnaire they fill out for their fatigue. I'm monitoring performance. I'm monitoring RPE, and I'm looking at videos. So I'm taking all this information and then saying, here's what we'll do next week based on this. So I need to know, am I going to increase load? Am I going to decrease repetitions? Are we going to add any set volume? Do we need to deload because their fatigue markers are getting too high? So point being, that is why I do this a week at a time. But I require them to say to me, they have to send me a message and say, I've completed my training week and my spreadsheet is updated. So now I have two, like it's a check and balance kind of system. I have my spreadsheet and I also have the client sending me a message. Both of those things have to fail for me to not complete an update on time. So
Yeah.
now I have a system that works very, very well. Once in a while, I will still make a mistake, but my success rate has substantially improved when I switched to this really dumb method that I've been using now for a couple of years. And so that's just an example, by the way. It just meant to, I don't mean to ramble so much, but it's to spell out how I believe you need to have a system that actually works for you, that solves the problem. So
Absolutely. Yeah, no, 100% agree. Absolutely. Because it's the same way as you might see work with individual clients and they might have a preferred way of potentially doing something that you work with them on. So you can't then go and force this method on them if they're like, I'm not going to do this, right? So you have to find the way out of them. But yeah, I agree with that. Like, and it makes sense in my head. That makes total sense to have a list and then just go through and update, because then you're not going to miss anything, right? So
yeah, it's way better.
Yeah. Do you still speak to the woman who came and helped you out?
Unfortunately, I don't.
Oh.
So
okay, cool.
She did a great job though. Like she went above and beyond for sure.
Nice. It's good of her. Nice. In terms of then where people are best to find out more information about you, if they want to come and see where you're at, like where's best for them to go?
Yeah, I think that going into the Eat, Train, Progress group on Facebook would be a very good place to understand what my community is about. I'm always very happy to just, if someone wants to message me, I get a lot of like instant messages on Facebook. I do have an Instagram page. It's just not as active. It's Eat, Train, Progress, but it's not nearly as, I don't post on there as much as I should. So yeah, I think joining the group or just messaging me on Messenger would be a great place.
Yeah, great, Anne. Really, really insightful, and I really enjoyed this. It's been great to find out about how you do it.
It's been fun.
And then also going to say, like, because you're obviously in the community, in the Apotheo group, and I can't remember what the question was the other day, but the response you gave to the question, it just blew me away. It was
the question was about what to do when you have a client who you believe is not logging their calories accurately.
Yeah.
And I spit out like a 10-page novel of my rambling opinions on it. So
no, it was great. Yeah. So yeah, it's useful to have people like yourself around with that knowledge and insight as well. So yeah, thank you, man, for this. Been good.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I'm always happy to share my opinions. I just don't like to preach it as though I'm telling anyone else how to run their business or how to coach people, but I still have strong opinions on things, and I'm happy to share them.
Right. Cool. I'll stop this and we'll get it uploaded. Let me see if I can, don't mess this up.